Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'll be sharing with us how to sew this gathered smoky dress from start to finish. I'll be giving us tips on how to get the best result for this project, how to set your machine, how to go about the gathers, and I'll also be giving us a measurement that works for 3 sizes in case you want to use this as ready to wear. If this is what you want to learn, then keep watching. So I have this piece of fabric on my table, and I'll be telling us how I came about this measurement. So the measurement I used to get the width of this fabric is my hip circumference divided by 4 plus extra 5 inches. Okay, and for the length it is my half length plus extra 4 inches. All right, so what you will do now is fold your fabric into 4 using your hip divided by 4 plus 5 inches to get the width. So by folding it into 4, it means we are cutting both the front and the back piece at the same time. Okay, then after that, the next thing to do is to determine the length. Okay, my half length is 17 inches, and I'm going to be adding 4 inches because the dress is kind of a low waist. It's not exactly on the waist, so I'll be adding extra 4 inches to that. Normally I will add 3 inches, but from the first one I made, I noticed that when I added 3 inches there was a shortage because after spoking the upper part, I noticed that it shrink, and then that made the length shorter. So to cover up for that, I'm going to be adding 4 inches instead of 3 inches. So even if it's going to shrink, I'm still going to get my length that I want. Now, another thing we need to consider is the fact that this dress is an off-shoulder dress, so we need to put that into consideration. And for the off-shoulder part, this depends on how exposed you want the upper part to be. So if you want it to be moderate, you can go ahead and remove 5 inches from your half length, and if you want to like maybe come down a little bit, you can use 6.5 or 7 inches. Remove 6.5 or 7 inches. So now from the top of my fabric, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. That 1 inch will serve as my sewing allowance because I need to turn the upper part. Okay, so from that 1 inch, I'm going to be placing my tape measure on that mark, that 1 inch mark. I'm going to be placing 5 inches. That is how low I want my off shoulder to be. I'll place 5 inches on that mark, and then I'm going to chalk my half length and add extra 4 inches to that. Then I will go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting, you should have something that looks like this. So the first thing to do is to go over and fold the upper part, then you stitch it down. Do the same for the other piece as well. After stitching, this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to mark out my spacing. Okay, if you are a total beginner, you can go ahead and do this step. From the top of your fabric, come down by ½ inch and keep marking a space of ½ inch till you get to the length. But if you are a pro and you can eyeball the distance, you can just go over to your sewing machine and sew on ½ inch each time. Now before we move over to the sewing machine, I just want to quickly show us how to go about threading our short sew. Okay, so now for the smoky thread, that is going to be in your reeler and shuttle, and for the normal thread is going to be on top of your machine. So for the shuttle, you don't want to use the regular shuttle that you always use, and if you do not have another shuttle, you can go ahead and still use the regular shuttle. But what you want to do is make sure you lose this bolt here and make the shuttle a little bit free in such a way that by the time you put the elastic thread into it, it's going to come out without stress. It's not going to be too loose and it's not going to be tight. It's just going to be moderate for it to come out without stress. Okay, and now to reel the elastic thread, you don't want to use your machine. You want to manually do this thing because you don't have to stress this thread. If you stress it, it's not going to give you the result that you want. So you manually wind the thread in your reeler just like this, as you're seeing. Do not stretch it, just keep doing it gently till you get some certain amount, and then you're going to cut it, insert it into your reeler and bring it out. Now to set your machine, if you are using an industrial machine, you want to set this to the longest stitch, put it in the highest number. Okay, and if you are using a manual machine, you want to bring down this stuff here that we always use to regulate stitch, bring it down to the bottom, like to the longest stitch, like you want to make a gathers. Okay, so now we can start sewing. Start from the tip of your fabric, the top, like this, as you can see in this video. And if you already mark your lines, you can sew on the line. Just do it bit by bit, okay? And if you're a pro, I believe you know how to go about this thing. Now there's another thing to note. The more you sew this gathered dress, the harder it becomes. I'm not going to lie to you, it's not going to be simple as it is in this video, because as you go deeper, it starts to shrink, and then the clothes starts to pull together. So in order to still maintain the stretch, you as you are sewing it, you'll be stretching your fabric. Do not sew over any gather. Keep stretching your fabric, as you can see the way I'm doing it in this video. Keep stretching till you get to the end. That way your smoky is going to come out perfect. It's going to be stretchy. But if you sew over gathers that it forms, it's going to be tight. It won't fit whoever you're making it for. So after smoking it, this is what the result looks like. This is what I have. I've gone ahead to smoke both the front and the back, and as you can see, it is very stretchy. This right here can size 3 different sizes. A size 8 can wear it, a size 10 can wear it, and also a size 12 can wear it. So now move to the lower part, but you guys will forgive me at this point. I mistakenly deleted the clip where I was explaining how to go about the lower part. So okay, now before we cut the down part, we need to determine the total length we want for the dress. For me, I'm using 38 inches, and then I'm also going to consider my half length. So my half length is 17 inches, and remember I added 4 inches to that, which makes a total of 21 inches for the upper part. Okay, so now to get the down part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract that 21 inches from 38, which is the overall dress length. And if I subtract that, I'm going to have 17 inches as my length to cut the down part. Okay, so the down part now is going to be 17 inches. So now for the layers, I'm going to be making my own 3 layers. So what I will do now is I will divide that 17 inches by 3 to get the width of each layers. And if I divide that, I will have 5.66 for each of the layers. So now we're not just going to use this measurement, we need to add some allowances to it. So for the first layer, what I'll do is I'll add 0.5 inches to that 5.66. That 0.5 is going to be for stitching the lower part and the upper part together. Then I'll also add 1 inch. The 1 inch will be for hemming the down part of the layers. Okay, that makes a total of 7.166. For the second layers, I want the first layer to overlap the second layers by 2 inches. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches to the result I got for the first layer, which is 9.166. okay, so I'm going to approximate that to 9.2. And for the third layer, I also want the second layer to overlap the third by 2 inches. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to repeat the same 9.2. So which means for the first layer, I'm cutting 7.166, approximately 7.2, and for the second and third layer, I'm cutting 9.2 inches as the width. Okay, now to cut the width of the lining, I'm going to refer back to the first calculation where we subtracted the length of the upper part from the total dress length, which for me was 17 inches. So that 17 inches, I'm going to be subtracting 7 inches from it, and then I'll be left with 10 inches. So I'm going to be cutting my lining with a width of 10 inches. And for how long you should cut your lining, what you are going to do is, remember when we were cutting the upper part, we did our hip divided by 4 plus 5 inches. So the result you got then, you're going to multiply it by 4, and that is what you're going to use to cut out the length of your lining. It's that simple. Now for the spacing, which is how I want the layers to be placed, I want there to be a space of 4 inches. So from the first layer, I'm going to come down by 4 inches, and that is where I'm going to place the second layer. And to place the third layer, I'll also come down by 4 inches from the second layer. That is where I'll place the third layer. Okay, so now to cut your fabric, the length of the fabric to cut, I'm just going to be exhausting the whole 3 layers, whatever fabric I have left. So now I'm going to cut 3 pieces for each of the layers, and the length of those pieces will be 45 inches, which is the length of an Ankara fabric. So I'm cutting 45 inches in 3 places for the first layer, 45 3 places in for the second layer, and I'll also cut the same thing for the third layer. So I'm going to have a total of 9 pieces that I'm going to use to make the gathers. I hope you guys understand. So after that, I'm going to join each of those pieces together, those three pieces. I'm going to join them together, run a long stitch on it, and then I'm going to pull it to form my gathers, which I'm going to start placing on the lining. Now this is a practical example. So from the top of your lining, you are going to be coming down by 4 inches, but because I'm using paper, that is why I'm marking 2 inches here. So from the top of your lining, come down by 4 inches, and from that 4 inches mark another 4 inches. So that way the first layer is going to be at the top of the lining, the second layer will be on the second line, and then the third layer will be on this other line here. Okay, now to place your fabric after you must have gathered it, the first layer is going to be starting from the top, and then you're going to leave 1 inch before you start. Place it this way, come in by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch you sew all the way to the other end by half of an inch. But before you get to the end of your fabric, make sure you leave 1 inch. Okay, you start 1 inch before and you leave 1 inch at the end. So for the second layer, you're going to place it upside down like this. Okay, you're going to place it upside down like this, and then you're going to stitch on it, leaving half inch on 1 inch rather on both sides. Okay, do the same thing for the last layer. All right, so when you are done with that, what you're going to do now is to place your fabric right side facing each other and sew only the fabric, and also put the lining together and sew only the lining. Now you're going to have an excess after you are done with this on the lining part, so you can decide to cut it off to the length of the third gather, the third layer, and weave it, or you can decide to fold it in. So if you follow my explanation, you should have exactly what I have on the screen right now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to place them as you can see me doing, and then I'm going to give it a notch here. I already have a joining on that side, so there's no need to give it a notch. What I'm going to do now is place the notch to the joining parts in order to get the other halves, which I'm also going to give a notch. I'll do the same thing on the bodice part, the upper part, and after that I'll show us the next thing to do. So now, having done that, the next thing you want to do is to flip the lower part to the wrong side, as you can see in the video. So when you are done flipping it to the wrong side, you are going to wear the upper part inside it in such a way that both the right sides are facing each other. I mean, the right side of the down part and the right side of the upper part are facing each other. And then you are going to align those notches we made earlier to each other. Okay, align the notches on the skirts to the notches on the upper parts, and then you're going to take it to your sewing machine and stretch it while sewing it. Stretch the upper part so that it fits the down part while sewing it. And for the rope at the upper part to tie around your neck, what you want to do is cut a piece of fabric that is 5 inches wide and the length is about 20 inches long. So you are going to take that and fold it into two. So on ½ inch, and then you're going to flip it out, give it a good press, and to attach it from the joining of the side, come in by 3 inches and then place your rope on that 3 inches. Do the same on the other side, then give it a stitch, top stitch on it, and you're basically done with this dress. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share with your friends. Subscribe and turn on post notification bell. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video.